Hello everybody, I think we're up again now. Just trying to see if we're still going. Are we indeed still operating? Having a little look. Yeah, I think we are. I think we're back up and running again now. Yeah, we should be up and running again now. But that must have been Ed Miliband who pulled the plug on the internet there, I think. So just waiting for people to find us again. Christopher's found us already. Hi Christopher. Just waiting for everybody else to re-find us. This happens, you see, this strangely happens that I get pulled off YouTube. Yeah, this weirdly happens because I don't insert internal adverts into my videos, and I have a suspicion that after a while YouTube drops your connection if you don't put an ad in. That's my suspicion, because I think YouTube is overly greedy with the ads. I don't agree with YouTube Red at all. I personally run an ad blocker, and I encourage you to. Yeah, because YouTube is greedy. So yeah, get an ad blocker is what I'd say. Right, I'm just going to now see if I can right, yeah, that says live event is over, which it is, because see, YouTube used to let you reconnect. If it dropped out, you used to be able to reconnect to the stream, and you can't do it anymore, as far as I'm aware. Right, Chris has found us. Bills has found us. I'm back finishing from finishing my tea, says Bills. Yeah, it all went a bit wrong, Bills. So we've had to start a new stream, which is why a lot of the chats disappeared off the screen. Yeah, and I think somebody in authority somewhere pulled me. But I'm back now. Wouldn't have an odyssey, would it? That. Yeah. Yes. Internet is crap. Welcome to the world of digital voice. Faster internet that doesn't work. Yeah, right. I'm just waiting for people to reconnect, as it were. Bill says, "Oh dear, time to get out the manual switchboard." Yeah, probably, Bills. Yeah, probably time to get out the carrier pigeons, I think. Radio. I wondered about getting a radio, actually. Becoming a radio ham. Been toying with the idea. Is CB still a thing? Do people still have CB radios? I've got no idea. Yeah. Who remembers the movie Convoy? Yeah, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, Smokey and the Bandit. Those were the days. Yeah, right. I'm hoping some of the other people are going to re-find us. We're all working on it. See, this is the thing, YouTube drops you off. You used to be able to reconnect to a stream that had dropped on YouTube. There was a setting that said, if the stream drops, do you want to reconnect? And that setting seems to have gone away. YouTube just gets worse and worse and worse. With every passing day, YouTube gets worse. It really does. I wish there was a viable alternative to it. I really do. Because I'd use it in a heartbeat. But since the demise of Library, there is no real viable alternative to it. And YouTube was taken down by the people in authority. Yeah. No, sorry, not YouTube. Excuse me. Yeah, library was taken down by the people in authority in America on some junked up legal issues that they kind of created to suit themselves. Yeah. Yeah, trying to get out the manual switchboard. Talking of phones, I'll get away from my rant about trams and that for a minute. This came the other day. Now, we're talking about stupid designs. Here's the stupidest design of a telephone ever. Whoever designed this, I'm fairly sure probably won't admit to it. It's the most stupid thing. It really is. It's an Ercaphone, of course, or a Cobra phone, or a Scandi phone, or whatever you want to call it. This is a genuine old one, because there are rubbish modern copies, like there are of a lot of things. This is a genuine old one. I think this one is a European made one, although when you look at the dial it appears to be an American dial on it, but I'm not sure. When I got this one, it wasn't working. It is now. Hang on. Stop that. Yeah. When I got this one, it wasn't working. The dial was all jammed up and everything. It is working now. The reason these are stupid is because this is the hook switch. So when you put it down, it's like hanging up a phone, and when you lift it up, it's like lifting a receiver. The problem with them is, and I've said this many times before, you're on the phone to somebody on one of these, and they're telling you something and saying, oh, by the way, can you get me such and such? And you go, yeah, I'll get that for you. I'll just go and get a pen and write down what you want. Just bear with me a second. You put it down and you cut them off. It's the most stupid design ever. But for some reason, they are quite valuable now. I think I paid about 15 quid for this one because it wasn't working. But they're at least 50 or 60 pounds for a working one now. Don't pay it. It's way above what they're worth. Right, what are people saying here in this chat? Bill says, Andy, I need your help. I bought an old sterling wooden box telephone, number 11, I think. The receiver has a weird fabric for sanitary reasons, but is original. Have you heard of this? 1880 to 1920. No, is a simple answer, Bills. Or a U500. No, I haven't heard of it. Send me a photo, Bills. Andy@coalpress.net. Send me a photo on the email, andy@coalpress.net, and I'll see what it is. But yeah, old sterling wooden box telephone. A sterling wooden box telephone. Sterling's in the place sterling. Sterling's in sterling silver. What? How do you mean sterling? Or is sterling the name of the people who made it? It's very early, 1880s, 1920s. Might be something that predates the GPO. It might be something from one of the very early telephone companies. receiver has a weird fabric for sanitary reasons. The receiver. So the bit you put to your ear has a weird fabric on it. Except no, why? Why would that have fabric on it? Is it one of these where you've got the bit you put to ear and the bit you talk into, a bit like a candlestick? Is it? Yeah. Why would it have fabric on it? That's strange. I've got no idea what that is, Bills. Telephone number 11. Or transmitter, maybe. The bit you're talking to, then. It's got a weird fabric on it. Why would that be more sanitary to have a fabric on it? Because you just spit on the fabric and then the fabric stays there. So, how does that make it more sanitary? Surely something you could wipe would be better. Bill says, thanks Andy, I've just sent you an email. I'll see if it comes through in a minute, that Bill's. Because I can't immediately think of what you are talking about there. I can't immediately picture it. I'm just attempting to open my email. This is where my internet might drop again, because my email does funny things when we're actually doing a live stream. But we'll do our best. Oh, it's one of those. Yeah, you may have got that the wrong way up, Bills. Has it got any bells on it, that, Bills? It's... Right. Right. Right, I'll show people this, because folks will be interested in this, I'm sure. Right, let me... see if I can get this on the thing now. So this is what Bills is talking about. He's got this that he just sent me the photo of, and this, and this says on it, British made by Sterling Telephone and Electric Co. in Tottenham. Right, well that one, Bills, has got a bit missing, because it should have the thing I always call sort of the daffodil's trumpet sort of thing, you know, the sort of black bit on that. That should have one of those on as well. If you look inside that hole there, I think you'll find there's a fine screw thread on it that it screws onto. So it should look more like that as well. But that, I believe, is upside down on this photo. So the bit at the left hand side here is actually the bottom, if you look at the way the hook thing is. So this is the bottom, this is the top of that. Similarly on this one, this is the bottom, the belly's at the bottom, and that is the top. And I think on this one, these, can you actually see my cursor for a start? Yeah, you can, can't you? These, I believe, are where you put your line into it. So your drop cable from the GPO or BT or whatever you want to call them these days goes on there and there. Forget about the blue and the green one, but it goes on there and there. Your pair, as they call them, coming in, goes on there and there, and then that should work. That should be able to receive calls. On this one, I'm not so sure. I would say that is a one terminal, but it looks like the other one's perhaps missing. I don't know. I can't really see. Yeah, but yeah, that's unusual. That's like a pre-GPO thing, that I think. I mean, this looks a lot like just a mother-in-law set from a later Bakelite phone, as does this one. So yeah. So yeah, you need to find one of these and screw it onto there. I think. Hopefully it'll be the same fitting. But the top one that you've got on here, not the sterling one, I have actually got a very similar one here. If I can get a hold. Oh no. Oh yes, I have. Yeah, it's here just to say. No, you see, this is actually similar to your sterling one. Very similar to your sterling one, actually. What I've got here. Similar but not the same. Right. Your sterling phone is that. Yeah. If I can get this the same way round so you can see it, that's your sterling phone, and that's what I've got here. Alright, let's switch between them again. So that's yours, and that's what I've got. I draw your attention particularly to the shape of the wood around here. I move that out of the way. The shape of this around here particularly looks exactly identical to that one to me. Where's my bell clapper? Which side is it? It's bottom. It's there. Just like it is on yours. Can you see that? I've not got very good light on it, look. Yeah. Now this one that I've got here has actually got something written on it. Let me change the lighting in here. We looked at this the other day and couldn't decipher it, but there is something written on this. I'm going to change the cameras again. It'll take me a minute to set this camera up, but if I put this under here, can you see here there's something written, and I can't work out what it says. And even under this high power, I think it's British. I think it might be British manufactured. What it says, you think? British manufacturer. It's either British manufacturer or British manufactured. And that's written there. where build on yours there's that. Now is that a plate, that thing there on yours, this thing, is this a plate or is it like a transfer? Because on mine obviously that's a transfer, but if that's a transfer it's looking very similar, isn't it? Very similar. Now mine, what it actually is, mine, it's got no GPO markings on the back. If it was GPO I would expect it to be something that actually stamped into the wood on the back of here, and there isn't. It has, similar to one of yours, got a button on there. And if you want to have a look inside it to see what's inside it, I reckon we can do that if I... Right, first thing, let me get the silly Erica falling out of the way. I'll put this on the table a minute. I'm going to see if I can take this trumpet off and see what's underneath. Just bear with me 1 second. Right, if I can get that into focus. Right, so I'm going to take this off if I can and see what's... Have I got a screwdriver small enough to undo this? Yeah, possibly. Thor has barking. Bet he's seen a dog on the telly. I bet there's an advert come on with the Dulux dog on or something. Because Thor is watching telly at the minute. But at least he's stopped squeaking that ball. Right, you can't see what I'm doing, can you? Because I'm on the wrong camera. Right, here we are. What I'm doing is I'm taking these screws out of here. This is a little bit different to yours, Bills, but I'm just curious as to what is under here. I've not actually taken one of these apart before, and this one seems to be metal. They're normally Bakelite. Now I think this bit should just unscrew if I could get a hold of it, but it doesn't. But if I take... Does this now come off? Right. So that's totally different inside. And in here you see these little things here. This is the carbon granules that should be in there. Some of these have jumped out over the years. But see, this will probably never work very well because this has had sellotape put across the thing in here to try and hold it all together. So it's a bit of a bodge inside this. But these are the carbon granules that need to sit in the middle of this here. Yeah. And some of them have over the years jumped out. You can get carbon out of another set and put it in, but that's what they are. So I've put some of them back in. this I think should come apart. I think this bit should unscrew. Poisonally, but it doesn't seem to want to. But somebody's been in here, say, and put this sellotape on, which is actually falling off. And the reason they've done that is because this carbon element in here is all in bits. So this is never going to work, because you speak into here, it sends a vibration through this into these carbon granules, and that is basically how the thing is supposed to work. With this bodge, this will never work. This would need quite a bit of work to get it operational again. So I'm glad I found that, because I'd have been wondering why it didn't work. But yeah, so that's the thing there. So I'm now going to try and put these tiny screws back in. This is where I'm going to drop one, isn't it? If I'm not ultra careful. I'm going to try and do it. With it upright, if I possibly can. Oh God, this screw's not going to go back in, is it? I need a smaller screwdriver. My trouble with this is my eyesight is not what it once was. So there you go. Let's take that handset off a minute. We'll put this. Right, it's gone quiet because I'm concentrating on not dropping this screw, which I'm starting to regret having taken out on air, because this could be a massive blooper. Right, one, that's two, one more to go in there. Phew, it's like defusing a bomb. Except defusing a bomb wouldn't be as stressful. Yeah. Luckily it landed on the desk. I think I've put this together in a slightly different order, you know, with the thing round in different holes, and they're not perfectly machined to all be equal, I don't think. That's what's giving me this problem. Yeah, I can see why it won't go in. It's because the hole's not perfectly lined up. Let's see. This is where I could do with my screwdriver being magnetic, and it isn't. Got it. Right, it's in. So that's a bit different to yours then, that build, by the looks of it. There, but if I open the door, which on mine you do by undoing this screw here. We can see what's inside it, and mine is a K7A20 wall set, KS6340. GE Co-Limited, so GEC. And what I've got inside mine builds is that, and I've got internal connections on mine, but I believe earlier versions of this had external connections on it, so I think this is just a later version of what you've got. Was that company written on yours, were they taken over by GEC? I'd say probably yes. But there's what I've got on this one. So it's pretty similar. It's not a GPO thing though, by the looks of it. A lot of these and things similar to this were used on the railways, actually, in signal boxes and stuff like that here in the UK. But the handset thing that I've got is very similar to yours. Now this is brown because it's got that coating on it that candlestick receivers have on them. You see, and you take that off, which just screws off. Then there's Stalloy, it says on that, and I believe you just slide that off, and that looks very similar to what you've got on one of yours there, doesn't it? So yeah, what did you got on yours again? Let's have a little look at yours. You see, it's there at the top of the screen there, and that it looks very, very, very similar. If I get this the same way round to how it is on your screen there, right, what you've got there looks very similar to that, doesn't it? Don't you think? Well, you can't see because I've got my hand in the way there. But, do you think it's sort of similar? Huh? I do. So yeah, I think you've got an early version of this, which is a GEC product. So that's what I think you've got there. What I'd be interested to know is, does it have a button on it, Bills? Is there somewhere here where you can see my... Oh no, hang on, wrong thing. Right, Bills. Somewhere here, is there a button on it? Because there is on mine. But yeah, I think you just got an earlier version of this. I think that's what you've got there. Right, I'm going back to the chat. I'm not looking at the chat at the moment while I'm doing this because I have to open different windows and things on my computer, but I will come back to the chat now and just see where we've kind of ended up with all this. Right, where are we? Where's my chat window gone? There it is. Yeah. Single channel bell, one is missing, I'm aware. Yeah, it probably is a single bell machine you've got. Dominic says, hi all, found the stream, well done Dominic. Bill says, thanks Andy, I'll get some missing bits, always learning. Bill says, what is a fabric? Would that be for the dirt? So is the fabric actually inside the end of that then, Bills? Is that what we're saying? That inside here is fabric? Is that what we're saying? I wouldn't have expected there to be fabric in there. I would have expected in there there to be like a membrane that can vibrate when you speak into it, like I've just shown you is broken up on this one that I've got here. That's what I would expect to find in there. But there may be a bit of fabric in front of it, a bit like speaker fabric sort of thing. Yeah, so there may well be. But that looks okay to me. I wouldn't mess with that. I would leave that well alone. I'd just find the bit to screw onto the front, and then leave that bit well alone if I were you. I think, yeah, quit while you're ahead. Sort of thing, I would say there. Right. Bill says, no, the name is not a plate, just a transfer. So it's probably a similar transfer to this one. I've just got a later version. I have Stecco on the back, says Bills. It says, I assume no asbestos. I will report back on the inside. I don't think I don't think they discovered asbestos when these were made, Bills. Bill says, I am unscrewing mine fully. Bill says, yes, looks almost identical inside. Thanks, Andy. More eBay to find the missing bits. I hope I can find them. Bill says, yes, I've got a button, but in black. Yeah, I've got a black button on mine as well. The white star is fabric. Right. Thought that looked like a sort of early plastic. Did they ever have a key, do you think, for the front? Well, it looks like yours did, Bills, from what I can see of it there. Yeah, it definitely looks like yours. Yours there has a key, doesn't it? So that is fabric, that is it. Right. So the star is fabric, and the fabric's got holes in which you speak through. It's probably just a sandwich just to hold the thing that you're talking to. It's probably just to protect the thing that you're talking to, because if you stuck your finger in that thing you're talking to, that kind of membrane that is all broken up on mine and held together with sellotape, you imagine sticking your finger into that, you'd break that. So perhaps that is just there to protect that behind it. That's what I would guess. So yeah, that's what I'd guess. But yeah, this whole piece, this whole unit here, is different to the one on mine. So you've either got an earlier variant here, or you've got a much later variant on an earlier unit, but that bit's been changed. But yeah, I'm wondering if that on yours has got an American sort of parentage to it. You see, because on mine here, you see, down inside here, I don't know if you can see on this shot, but the actual sort of trumpety bit in there, there's a metal bit in there with all little holes in. Can you see? Then that's what stops you sticking your finger down mine. So I think you've got a slightly different variant of that. So that's what I reckon anyway, but I reckon it's one of these. It's just an earlier version of this. Yeah, which you may be able to get working. You may be able to get working. I'll work on this, because that thing that's broken up in here, I'm wondering if I can put one in out of a more modern baker, like a 300 series or something, to replace that. I don't know. I don't tinker with very old stuff much like that, because, to be honest, I'm so busy with plastic phones and that, more modern things, which I kind of know what I'm doing with. So I kind of put the ones where I'm not so familiar with them on the back burner, and get on with the ones that I am familiar with. So that's what tends to happen. But I've got a number of things like that that really did ought to do something with. So yeah, perhaps I might have a look tomorrow on the bank holiday. I might do a bit of something with the bank holiday Monday. So yeah, I don't know about the key bills. I really don't know about the key. Certainly didn't on later ones, it seems. They opened with a screw, which is the same on GPO ones. But it looks like yours does have a key. The only thing I can suggest, Bills, is if you've got a good antique shop or an antiques dealer near you, go to them, because any antiques dealer worth their salt keeps a big hoard of keys. You know, whenever they see a key, they keep it. And they'll have like a biscuit tin or something full of like little wardrobe keys and clock keys and things like that. And you had to go to them and say, have you got a key to fit this? And they'll tip a big tin of keys out and try them all, and see if they can find a key. But you say yours looks similar inside, so I'm guessing it is undone. If it's undone, you don't really need to worry about it too much. But yeah, a good antiques dealer will have a little tin of keys, and it'll be a relatively simple key, like on a wardrobe or something like that. You know, if you've got a few wardrobe keys stuffed in a drawer at home, or old suitcase keys, try them, because you might just find they work. Because keys weren't that clever back then, not like they are now. Christopher says, Andy and Bills, that white fabric looked like asbestos, because I have an old World War II German gas mask what had white asbestos fabric in the mask, and the white fabric looked the same to what I found in the mask. Really? They put asbestos in gas masks? That was a bit silly, wasn't it? Yeah, well, if that's what it is, Bills, I will suggest taking it out and replacing it with something else. If it's hard, if it's meant to be hard, perhaps you could replace it with, if you've got a 3D printer, or you know somebody who's got a 3D printer, and indeed I've got a 3D printer here if it comes to that. If we could get dimensions of the thing, how big it is round and how thick it is, we could make a plastic part to put in if you're worried about it possibly being asbestos. Yeah. Why would they make it out of asbestos now? Why wouldn't they make it out of Bakelite or something sensible? You know, why make the bloody thing out of asbestos? Not quite sure what's going on there, really. Yeah, so if it's asbestos, possibly, well, is it white asbestos? Is white asbestos the one that's slightly less dodgy? I think blue asbestos is the dodgy one, isn't it? Or is it the other way around? Yeah, I think blue asbestos is the really dodgy one. I think white asbestos isn't so bad. It's kind of got like fibres to it, asbestos. You'd probably be able to tell if it was asbestos. Yeah. That's an interesting thought. Maybe that's why they changed the design of that bit. Maybe that's why GEC changed it on later ones. That's an interesting thought, that. Yeah. But I reckon we could probably take that out and replace it with a plastic bit, because I can't imagine it actually does much, really, other than stop you sticking your finger down it. Christopher's back to his train. It says steam rail in Victoria is running the Red Rattler in August on the Showgrounds line. I'm a steel rail member, so information will be here early when the Red Rattler and steam trains are running. Christopher says, yes Andy, blue asbestos is 10 times as bad as white asbestos. Yes, it's the blue that's dodgy. I mean, the white is still a bit dodgy, I think, but it's not as bad having white asbestos as it is having blue asbestos. But yeah, if you're going to mess with it, Bills, I would say do it outdoors and have a decent face mask on. Possibly one of these proper respirator ones that you can get from Screwfix and that, you know, for when you're doing paint spray and stuff like that. And then I think a bit that tiny, I think you could just take out, put in a polythene bag. And people are terrified of asbestos these days. This is a problem. You know, you're saying, oh, I've got some asbestos to get rid of, and everybody panics because they're all terrified about it. So yeah, just take it out and do it outdoors with a respirator mask on, then put it in a Ziploc bag or something, and then it becomes pretty inert once it's in the Ziploc bag. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's an interesting problem, that. Yeah. Don't know about that one, but it does remind me about the trim phones and people worrying about the tritium tubes in trim phones, and I think for the amount that there is there and the fact you've only got one of them, I think it's not a major cause for panic, but just sort of treat it with respect when you're dealing with it. You know, be a bit sensible, and I'm sure you'll be all right. Yeah, I wonder if they thought asbestos had sort of weird qualities, like you say, Bills, for that. I wonder if they thought it had some sort of antiseptic qualities or was some sort of filter. I wonder if that's what they thought it did. Because they used to think all sorts of crazy things, didn't they, about certain things. You know, go back 100 years and there are all sorts of weird tonics and potions that were supposed to do stuff that science has later proved to be completely nonsense. Yeah, I can imagine they did at one time think that breathing through asbestos purified the air or something like that. I can imagine that was probably what they did think at some point. Neville Oakley says asbestos is meant to be fireproof, but it isn't. I thought it was. You know, when I was at school, in the science class, we had Bunsen burners. And they used to, when you used a Bunsen burner in a science class, they gave you 3 pieces of equipment. They gave you the Bunsen burner itself with the rubber pipe on that you put onto the little tap on the desk. They gave you a metal tripod with a bit of gauze that sat on the top of the metal tripod that you put your flask or whatever you were heating up onto. Then the 3rd piece of equipment they gave you with a thing to stand the whole lot on, which was a square about that big of asbestos, which you put on the desk and stood the whole lot on. And of course, people used to write the name in the asbestos. And this is my heat-proof pad, sort of thing. Scratch the name into the asbestos with a ballpoint pen and things like that. Yeah, probably not great, but there you go. That's school in the 70s and early 80s for you. Melville says, look at the fire at Red Road Towers in Glasgow. Asbestos does burn. Ah. I wonder if certain types burn then. I don't know. Bill says, well, hopefully I will see you all next week. Yeah, hopefully, Bills. Hopefully you'll not have got asbestosis. So yeah, hopefully you'll be okay. Asbestos is nothing to slow the fire, says Neville. Yeah, I can imagine it not slowing it down, but does it actually burn, or does the fire just go through it? I suppose it depends how densely it's compacted, because this stuff that we had at school was like densely pressed into like a dense sheet. But I imagine if it's just fluffy stuff, like they used to insulate DMUs with, I'm pretty sure, then I imagine the fire could possibly go through it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know a lot about asbestos, to be quite honest with you. It's not something that has come up before that, so that's a new one, interesting one. That like I say, every now and again I do get a thing about tritium dials. Every now and again I do get an email or something from somebody concerned because they read that old telephones are radioactive. Yeah, I had one I'll never forget from a woman who was worried because she'd heard that old telephones were radioactive, and her son was in a school play and they'd got an old telephone as a prop in this school play, and I think it was the 300 series, I think it was a Bakelite phone they'd got, but she just heard that all old telephones were radioactive, and she was scared her son was going to come home glowing so much she didn't have to put the bedroom light on at night, like Simpsons, and come out glowing green. And I basically sent her a message back saying, if you can get tritium to glow in the modern day and age, please send me some, because I want to put it into a phone. So, but of course it's all to do with half-life, with radioactivity and that, and if something's got a very short half-life like tritium, half-life is how long it takes for the thing to become half as radioactive as it previously was. So if you've got tritium that glows very brightly, when it reaches its half-life, and I don't know exactly what the half-life is of tritium at the minute, but when it gets to its half-life it only glows half as much, and then when it gets to another half-life it only glows half as much again. So it's never, technically, it's never not radioactive, but it's so infinitesimally small an amount of radioactivity that it becomes background, and other things in the world give out more radioactivity. Your TV screen and your microwave probably give out more radioactivity than a little tube of tritium does. So yeah, don't worry about it. Really don't worry about a little tube of tritium. Really don't worry about it, honestly. Christopher says, I do know that in the 60s and 70s fire blankets were made out of asbestos. Yeah, well, they didn't know any better then, Christopher. That's the thing. I think it was the late 70s when all the scare went up about asbestos. I think, because I was very young at the time. I remember it all being on the news about asbestos, and I think it was like very late 70s. So yeah, I could imagine them. Well, they used to make loads of things out of asbestos. Yeah. It was one of these wonder products that they had, wasn't it? Weren't so wonderful after all. And but there are other things that can get you as well. I mean, you can get silicosis from sand and stuff like that. That's why if you're sandblasting you have to wear all protective gear and that, because if the sand gets in your lungs, I think it's fairly similar to asbestos actually. So, yeah, but we don't stop going and building sandcastles on a beach though on a windy day, do we? So I don't know quite how that works. Yeah, but I always worry about the sand at the seaside. You know, you come back from the seaside, if it's been a bit of a windy day at the seaside and you blow your nose and you get all sand in your handkerchief. Yeah, that can't be good, can it? But yeah, let us know how you get on, Neville. Yeah. Yeah. No. I'll be interested to know the answer to that one, because that's probably going to be a question that somebody else will ask now. So yeah, be interested to know if there are asbestos. I've never heard of there being asbestos parts in telephones before. I've never heard of that. So if there are, that's a brand new one. Bill says, always get sand in my sandwiches. Yeah, I think if it gets in your lungs, it's a problem. Yeah, sand in your sandwiches. Why would you go and sit on a beach to eat a sandwich when there's a perfectly good cafe just on the other side of the road? Yeah, never quite got that. Why would you go to the seaside and eat sandwiches when there's a chip shop? That's I don't think I've ever eaten sandwiches at the seaside. I've always like gone to a chip shop or ate a bag full of donuts if I was hungry or something like that. Love seaside donuts. Now, here's one for you. Alright. Does anybody know how you make seaside donuts? I know they make them in a machine, don't they, at the seaside? Has anybody got one? And do you know the recipe for making the batter and how you use the machine? Because I would love a proper donut making machine. Yeah, to make proper seaside donuts without the requirement to like travel 120 miles to go to the seaside. Yeah, proper seaside donuts, brilliant. I'm wondering now if there's going to be a donut making machine on eBay. I might have to have a look. Bill says, well, I have put the suspected asbestos in the bin. The operation was carried out outside. Bill says, I grew up with a family of 6. We took the cool bag down to the seaside. It was great. Did you rent a beach hut, Bills, for that? Beach huts are crazy expensive. You can buy a beach hut now at the seaside. It costs more than a house. It's crazy. Neville says, had some awful fish and chips at Mablethorpe. Absolutely terrible. Wish I'd had sandwiches. You know something? I've had some brilliant fish and chips at Mablethorpe. Yeah, I've had some really nice fish and chips at Mablethorpe, but I bet I know where you went for the awful ones. Was it a cafe almost on the beach, on a little corner of prom that sticks out, and there's a hut? Was it that cafe there? There's a little corner with a sort of built-up promenade on the seaward side, because there's like a hump in there at Mablethorpe. There's like the sea wall, like a grassy hump thing, some of which has been built on now, and then you go down the other side into the town. But on the seaward side, just on top of the sea wall, at one point there's a little flat bit and a little hut on it that is a cafe. Was it there where you had your terrible fish and chips? Because I had some there that weren't great as well. Neville says, no, it was quite away from the beach along the road. Alright. Right, yeah. Are you near now? Are you near Mablethorpe, Neville? We want to go. The reason I ask is we want to go and film and escape the shed in Mablethorpe. So if you're near, you could take part. Yeah, there's various things I want to do at Mablethorpe. Many years ago, when I was a wee small boy, my mum and dad had a static caravan on the Blue Anchor caravan site at Mablethorpe, if anybody knows the town. And it was right near the water tower. And I've since been back to Mablethorpe a couple of times trying to work out where it was, but the water tower has gone, and I'd quite like to know where it was, and I can't work it out. It looks very different. That's the only bit of Mablethorpe that does look different, but I would quite like to know where it was. Christopher said, Andy, what are the old telephone circuit boards made out of? Not asbestos, Christopher, I don't think. It's... Yes, what is it? I think it's some sort of composite material, but I'm not sure. If it's like a fabric and then maybe shellac, fabric sandwiched between two layers of shellac or something akin to that. It's brown and you can snap it, you know, relatively easily, but it's totally non-conductive. That's a very good question, Christopher. But yeah, that's what it is. Neville says, no, I was in Sheffield, I'm now in Chesterfield. Oh, you're quite near where we are here then, Neville. Crikey, I didn't realise you were that close. Yeah. Bill says, the seal sanctuary is in Mablethorpe. It is indeed. It is indeed. The seal sanctuary. They used to have a fantastic helter-skelter in Mablethorpe. The thing about Mablethorpe is, like I say, I used to go regularly when I was a very small child. And then my mum and dad sold the caravan, which I've never forgiven them for. And very rarely ever went back. I think I went back once after. Until around, I think it was about 2019-ish, 2020, something like that. And then I went back again for the first time in years and years and years. And apart from the fact there's no water tower anymore and I can't quite work out where the caravan was, the rest of Mablethorpe hadn't changed hardly. There was still the little train that went round the putting green and that, but it was a different loco on the train. And I thought, oh, it's a different loco on the train, but the train's still in the same place and everything. Well, it's just a different loco on it. The original one must have worn out. And I've since found out from doing a bit of research that actually it is the same loco. They've just put a different body on it. It is actually the same loco that I went round on as a kid, and it didn't run last year because the guy that ran it retired, and so last year it stayed closed all summer season as far as I'm aware. And I would love to go and do that. I would love to go. You know, if they want somebody to go and do that, I'd go and do that. You know, because that's a real part of my history. That is, you know, that you know, 5-year-old me rode on that train. And when I found it was still there, I was quite amazed. And then when I found it was the original loco still, just with a different body on, I was totally gobsmacked. I thought, right, we've got to do something about this. We've got to preserve this somehow. So yeah, I would look. If anybody's in Mablethorpe and knows anything about who owns that, what's happened to it, and that, please do let me know, because I would love to get involved and get that saved, preserved, whatever. I'm terrified to go to Mablethorpe now in case it's gone. So, yeah. Bill says, I am now Googling the symptoms of asbestosis. I don't think you have many symptoms at the time you do it, Bills. I think that's part of the problem. I think it's something that catches up with you years later. Yeah. Tell you what I remember Mablethorpe for. It had a kiddies fairground ride with like giant ladybirds on it. Can anybody remember those? Little kiddies fairground ride with giant ladybirds, and like I say, it had a helter-skelter as well. which absolutely terrified me. Yeah. But it was a proper traditional helter-skelter. I guess it rotted away years ago. That's they were wooden, weren't they? But yeah. But yeah, Mablethorpe, great place. Yeah, I like Mablethorpe. Yeah, the reason I went back in about 2019, 2020 is just because I bought a metal detector, and I went metal detecting on Mablethorpe Beach. Found absolutely sod all, nothing at all. But yeah, didn't get anything. Right. Talking of not getting anything, I think it's time that we didn't get anything, because I think it's about time for me to go. My clock says it's 19 minutes past 9. So, crikey, it's been a long one. Well, it's been 2 halves, hasn't it, today? It literally has been a game of 2 halves today. Just before I go, Christopher says, Andy, my old 1974 railway searchlight signal I have just restored has asbestos gasket, but I'm not worried about it because I've not disturbed it. Quite right too, Christopher. The best thing to do with asbestos, if you know there's some somewhere, is just leave it alone. Because if you don't disturb it and you don't get any of the dust into the atmosphere, it's totally fine. I have known it be painted over, asbestos, and if you've got any that's been painted over, that's even better because the paint sort of locked it in. So yeah, just leave it alone. Just leave it be. Particularly if it's got a coat of paint on it, just leave it be, and it'll be fine. Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit like when they find an unexploded World War II bomb. Well, if you don't prod it, it's probably not going to go off. It's not gone off since like 1945, and it's now 2025. It's probably not going to go off unless you interfere with it. so leave it be. You know. Yeah. Having said that, knowing my luck, it would have like an 80-year fuse on it. Neville says, is there asbestos in your boat? There's absolutely sod all in my boat, Neville. It was a shell when I got it, so there's absolutely nothing in it at all. But I imagine ones that were fitted out in the 60s and 70s could well have asbestos insulation or something in them, because like I say, lots of BR's rolling stock, the first generation DMUs, lots of them had it, because it's one of the things that hindered them being preserved, that they had to go for asbestos removal first. Bill says, my workplace is full of asbestos. And Christopher says, I have a video of my old signal on my channel, which he does indeed. Just search Christopher 2000 on YouTube and that, and you will find his channel. He can't unfortunately write it in the comments thing, the channel, because the trouble is YouTube is so stupid. It don't let put a link in the chat. It's an absolute pain in the bum. But yeah, go find Christopher's channel. Amongst other things, you'll find him using his air raid siren on there, which is just brilliant. He's more daring than me to set one of them off in a built-up area. Brilliant. And I think he did it at midnight on New Year's Eve as well, didn't you, Christopher? Air raid siren. Well, most people would be up anyway at midnight on New Year's Eve, but just in case you weren't, you are now. What a hell of an alarm clock that is. It says I've got a video of my old signal on my channel. It says some parts of my old school had a lot of asbestos. I think there's a lot of asbestos in a lot of places actually, but as we say, just leave it be, and it's generally okay. It's when you start drilling holes through it, or God forbid ripping it out, it becomes a problem. Bill says, yes, I work in a college. Oh dear. You're not in Chesterfield College, are you, Bills? You used to drive a bus that took the students home from Chesterfield College. Right, that is about as far as we go for today. Thanks to everybody for taking part. Sorry this has been a game of two halves, but I was a little critical of the government and YouTube in the first half, and I think I got nobbled basically to start a new stream. No, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I know they're all out to get me. Yeah, but luckily most people seem to have found us again on the second stream. Christopher says, yes, I did a siren on New Year with permission from the cops. How brilliant was that? You see, Australian police must be much more sensible than British police. Yeah. British police just miserable. Yeah, they are miserable. British police are. They can pull you up and fine you for how you're cracking your number plate, but they can't stop 800 illegal immigrants from walking out of the Channel Tunnel. Yeah. Yeah. Right, anyway, that is about as far as we go for now, folks. Thanks for taking part once again in this. Sorry it's not been massively telephone related today, but I hope we've sorted out the wooden telephone mystery, and you've also seen a little bit of the dreaded Ericaphone, because I have got a number of dreaded Ericaphones. They are stupid, but they are part of the collection because they are part of history. No matter how stupid they are, but I won't have one of them every day using phone, that is for certain. We will be back hopefully next week. It's not 100% certain next week because I am out next Sunday in the daytime, and if I get delayed I might not get back in time, but hopefully we'll be here next week. If not, we'll see you in 2 weeks time, but as always, click the little bell icon-y thing on YouTube and make sure you subscribe, because YouTube does automatically unsubscribe people without telling them, so just do make sure you are subscribed. I know every YouTuber says this, and you go, oh god, I wish people would stop saying subscribe and hit the bell icon. I wish people would stop, because it drives me mad when other people do it, so I know how mad it drives you when I do it. But yeah, it is the way to get notified that we're here, hopefully. So yeah, we should be around 7 o'clock next week, like I say. If not, we'll be back in 2 weeks time, yeah, we will see you then. So from me for now, oh, one other thing to say that all YouTubers say as well, remember, that also if you want to support the channel, you can go here to this link, https://buymeacoffee.com/Andy's if you want to put a couple of quid in the old tip jar thing and keep me in coffee. Yeah, I know it's cheap coffee that I drink, so it is only £2. I think it's not like Starbucks mega expensive stuff. But yeah, buymeacoffee.com/Andy's Shed is the way to support us these days. Now we don't do Patreon anymore because Patreon got greedy. So until next week, have a fantastic week ahead, and I will see you all very soon. From me, for now, ta-ra.